Right, okay. So we'll start off with explaining how the exam works and whatnot. So tomorrow afternoon, what you'll do is 1 o'clock. So you'll be going on early lunch for me. What you'll do is you'll come into your ICT suite where you'll have your login details if you need them, which I don't think you will do because I'm gonna get you all to log on before we start the exam. But just in case you have to reset your computer or something, I'll put that there for you. Further to that, what we've got as well is you'll have a key code and you'll have a login, okay? Don't worry if you've forgotten your stuff, I've got it all written down. Yeah, 1 till 3, but obviously there'll be a little bit of time after that because you need to upload your work. So how it works is you've got the software which you've all seen already, or at least my class have seen already, and that'll be there waiting for you, and all you've got to do is type in your key code and it'll say you've locked until we give you the PIN, which will be written on the board in whichever room you're in. And once you type in that PIN, the exam officially starts. Now, one thing that you're all going to have for me is you'll have a guide explaining how you unzip files. Now, it's really easy to unzip files on a non-networked PC at home, but at school it's a little bit different. So I'm not going to go through how you do that, but essentially, if I just very quickly get it up on the screen for you, how it's going to look is something like that. You'll have your documents, you'll have your zip file with whatever it's called. It's called WJEC drop 8 in this one. You're going to go to extract and extract all, okay? Now mine's disabled at the minute, but that's what you'll do. Yours will be lit up, okay? That's mainly because I've already unzipped my work, alright? So I suppose let's start. See how many people are in the I think 10 people. Alright, that'll do. So first things first, can we all read what's on the screen, alright? Don't worry if you're not in the same room. The key codes are given to the people in the rooms, but I've also got them as well, so I can always run in and tell you them. But it's don't worry, we're all organised. So there's 2 other rooms set up. All the information's in there as well, and I'll make sure I go around and whatnot. Right. So first question is always a little HTML question. Now, one thing you will receive when you start this, when you download your files, is you'll get the electronic answer document. You won't get those 2. You'll get a zip file which you'll unzip like that, and you'll get a picture. Now, all your work will be done on the electronic answer document except for your website and except for the green foot, obviously. Okay, so I'm going to split my screen up. I don't know how good that's going to look, so let's have a look. Can we all see both of them all right? So I'll zoom that in like that. Okay, so your first question, state the HTML tags needed for each of the following. To start a new HTML document, to begin an unordered list, and to create a horizontal rule. Please enter your answers in the electronic answer document. Now, this is what you get. So if I just zoom out a little bit, you get that. This is where you get the writing for your HTML task, and all your other questions, barring Greenfoot, are all in this document. Okay. I know that. I'm pretty sure anyway the WJEC exam is a little bit different. So if you're watching and you do the WJEC one because you live in Wales, it'll be slightly different to this one. This is the Eduqas English version. So all you do is you want to answer your documents on here. This gets sent off. So it's really important that you're saving your work every 5 minutes on everything you're doing. Greenfoot's alright because it saves it every time you do something. I think every time you compile it saves it. But obviously, you're looking after it's in your best interest to look after yourself and keep saving your work frequently. So to start a new HTML document, what you don't want to do is type in that doc type. A lot of people do that because if you go and inspect a website, you always say it's doc type HTML. It's not asking for that. It's asking for one tag. For a new HTML document, it's HTML. For those who haven't really learned much HTML, there's a set amount of tags you need to know, and I will quickly put that on the board really quickly. on the board, used to be in school. These are all the tags that you have to know, okay? So that's P tags, your H tags, your different lists, center tag, table borders, ordered lists, bold text, images, hyperlinks, things like that, okay? And I'm going to go through these again later, so I'm not going to spend all day talking through them, but I'll just let you know. So for an unordered list, it's UL. And for a horizontal rule, it's HR, okay? Now these ones are easy because you've got obviously unordered list, UL, horizontal rule, HR, and HTML is just HTML. So if you think at this point, we've already got 3 marks, that's really good. 3 marks out of 60 already. Yeah, it's not loads, but that's decent. So make sure you understand your different tags, okay? So the next one is always laid out the same, and that's a draft design for a HTML website is shown below. Cybersecurity briefing, staying up to date with current events. Here speakers on a range of topics including cyber essentials, risk discovery, a day in the life of a hacker, all of the above in a modern, open and fascinating insight into the evolving landscape of cybersecurity. Click the link to find out more, cybersecuritybriefing.co.uk. They then tell you how they want it to look. So we've got a nice heading there, some underlined text, some text, unordered list, a link, and an image, okay? So the first thing you want to be doing is scrolling down to here and reading this information. Now what a lot of people do is they go, all right, I'll make the website. Read what it says. So it says the image you require is called firewall.jpg, so check that you've got the right file. The page title should be set to cybersecurity briefing, and you need to save your new web page as finaladvert.txt. Now that's strange because it's a HTML document. Why are you saving it as a text file? And that's purely because the website you upload your work to does not accept HTML files. So what I suggest you do is work in HTML until you finished it, then copy and paste it into finaladvert.txt, okay? So first thing you want to do is get up Notepad++ or Notepad, whichever one you're using, Programmer's Notepad. Now I'm just very quickly just going to get this saved so we can use it. So I'm just going to call it, for now, in fact, you can have this on the screen, doesn't matter. I'm going to save it as a HTML, hypertext markup language. I'm just going to call it website for now. Now, that is bad practice. I shouldn't be calling it website. But the reason why I'm doing that is to remind myself later that I need to save it as the text file, okay? Now, you should know your basic HTML structure, but in case you don't, now 1 second, I'll just make sure you can see all that. Yep. Now I'll zoom in even more. If that's the max I can do it, so hopefully you'll be able to see that. So we start off with HTML. Now it works in pairs, so if you're doing a HTML, you need to do a /HTML. Then you've got your head tag. Now you should know these off by heart, and if you don't know them by now, then you are going to be in a bit of trouble. You need to be practicing these, but you've still got time. Okay, so you've got your head tags, and they finish before your body. Just like in real life, it sounds stupid to say, but obviously your head stops before your body. You've got your neck in between, so your head needs to be closed before the body. And then, obviously, your body ends at some point. Now, please don't confuse title with that. That is not the title, that is the heading. The title is what it tells you. It's called cybersecurity briefing, so be smart about it. Copy that, go into your title, right click, paste, okay? That's the title. That is the tab name. You won't see that on the main body of the page. Just notice that my Notepad++ isn't saved as a HTML, so give me a second there. So it's good, isn't it, when you mess up straight away? There we go. Always thought it works, it likes up blue. So your body text. Now don't sit looking at this exam and type it all out. If you type all that out, I'm going to be really annoyed with you. You've been given it in here, right? So take that, copy it, and paste it in there, okay? Easiest thing to do. 1, it's easy. 2, you don't have to write anything out. 3, it's going to be spelled all correctly. Now, how I set up my screen, now it's going to cut off some of my code doing it this way, but for you guys, you know, it makes more sense too. Let's get the right thing open. So I've got my cybersecurity briefing picture there. Now, 9 times out of 10, if I won't want to say what's going to be exactly on the exam, but come on, this one's always a H1. So H1, then make sure you close that off. Now it is in the middle, so is that, so is that. So before any of that, we want to do a center tag. Now, you want to close that here. Now it is the American spelling, in case you didn't know. Now, as you see here, it's really hard to tell. And a lot of people use like H2s, H3s. Nearly every exam I've seen so far, it's been a paragraph tag for this little subheading. Oh, didn't mean to press that. That is the same size as that, whether you believe it or not. It's the same size. That is a paragraph tag. But it is bold and underlined. So P, underlined, bold. Now if I was you, copy and paste it, and you can go on to the next line if you want, and then just do /P, /U, /B. The first part done. Now, just in case you don't believe me, let's run it, see how it looks, okay? Ooh, this is interesting. I haven't actually installed Notepad++ on my laptop before, so give me a second. I'll just have to go do it like that. Didn't expect that to happen, but yeah. So there we go. I've got it may look slightly different. Like the font's different. It's not asking you to change the font. If it's not on that slide I showed you, you don't have to do it. So you don't have to change it. It looks about right, okay? So we've got the first part done. Now we need that picture in. Now, I used to always forget this when I was at school. I used to always put image SCR and instead of SRC, which is wrong. Now, there is a chance of tables coming up. It's the first question I've got in the chat. There is a chance of tables, and I'm happy to cover that at the end. It's not in this particular exam, but it's on the spec, so they can ask you about anything, all right? But I will cover that again later if you want me to, all right? So you got image, SRC stands for source, so it's saying where's it coming from. And now we know it's called, because it tells you in this, firewall.jpg, so in case you can't spell very well. Firewall.jpg, give it a little save. So if you missed the first 10 minutes, you missed the first question. The first question was answering these 3 questions here, so you don't really miss a lot, right? So if I go and run my website, you see I've got the picture in there. I've got the underlined text. So if I have a look at the mark scheme now, I can already tell you that I've got 1 mark for head, 1 mark for title, 1 mark for body, 1 mark for center, 1 mark for H1, 1 mark for bold, and underline, and 1 mark for the image. Okay, so I've already got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 marks already out of, what was out of 12, is it? Does it say? 10. So I've already got pretty much most of it done. Now what I have noticed in the mark scheme as I was doing that is that it doesn't give you a mark for underlining, so there's a mistake on that. So really it should be at 11 marks. So that's always good, isn't it? So I've got here speakers on a range of topics. So this wants to be a paragraph. Now I'm gonna close that there, and what that will do is that'll pop that on its own little line. And then now I want a list. Now to get just a bullet point, you can just put LI, but I think this exam's a bit daft really, because that, if it was done in HTML properly, using the proper tags, those would be indented slightly. So what they did is they was an LI, 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 when really the examiner should have put UL, should have put /UL there, and then these ones should be list, list, and list. Now, if I'm honest with you, that should have copied and pasted then. Really should have. But obviously I'm sort of multitasking, making sure I don't say the wrong thing. But yeah, copy and paste whatever you can. Obviously you can't cheat doing that. It's not cheating, copying and pasting your own tags you've written. You should be smart, all right? So now if I give that a quick save, look at mine, refresh it, you see, because I've used UL properly, there's an indentation there that there should be. Now, if I zoom in slightly, it might look a little bit more like this one, all right? Now, your next one, you'll notice here, there's no text formatting at all, there's no bolds or anything, so it's another paragraph tag. So we just paragraph, then we've got another paragraph. Now, The only difficult thing about this one that everyone seems to get wrong is just seems to forget how this one works, all right? So it's ahref equals, and then you put the address in, all right? I'm just gonna full screen this for now. So you put your speech marks around it. Then you close the tag off, leave a space, and /a. Now that will create the hyperlink, no worries, but you won't see any text. If I just show you that for an example, if I refresh my page, you see, the link's there, I know it's there, but it's invisible, I can't click on it. Right? And that's because I've not put anything in there. So what you do is you grab that, copy it, paste it in, that's what you'll see. And then for one extra bonus mark, you do http:// That's done now, I save that. I view the website. If I press the right thing, give that a quick refresh, link's working. You know it works when you click on it, it'll try and get on the site. And I don't think I missed anything, so let's double check. I've got the underlined bit there, I've got the image, got the ULs. There's nothing there, just a hyperlink at the bottom. So I've got my full marks there. Just double checking. Yep, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 marks I've got there, plus the extra one for actually making this bold and underlined, which one on the mark scheme. Okay, so that's that done. So that's that question. Once you're finished with that, what I suggest you do is get Notepad up. Just normal one's fine. Like that. Take that entire page, Control-A, Control-C. Paste it in there. Control-S to save it. Now I'm going to save it obviously in my stream folder. You'll save it in your documents. Go to the component 2 stream and take a look on the exam what I should have called it. So final advert.txt, so I'll copy that. File.text, save, that's done, okay? Ignore that now. Keep it in your documents. I won't bother uploading it yet because you might accidentally click submit and then you're in a world of trouble, all right? So that's that done. So far we've got 13 marks, technically 14, but 13 marks through very little effort, all right? So that's good. To go back to the rest of the exam now. Finish that, and it reminds you as well what to save it as. And we've got question 3, all right? Now question 3, again, it's an easy question. As I've said for assembly language, it is good to understand what it means, how it works, but for this particular exam, you don't actually have to be able to understand much of it as long as you know what these are, okay? So as you know, input takes a number and stores it in the accumulator, output prints a number that's stored in the accumulator, and so on. As long as you've got understanding of those definitions, you'll be absolutely fine. For example, this question asks you, what is the assembly language Medomak? I don't know how you pronounce that, but basically means assembly language code for each of the following: to load a value, to branch the operation, to end the operation. So we should know that to load something it is LDA, to branch something it's BRA, and to end the operation it's not end, it's HLT, stands for halt, it's not END, okay? There is an emulator you can use. If you search for Peter Higgins LMC, that lets you actually mess around and see how the how assembly language works. But essentially, it's a low-level language that isn't really meant for us to understand, really. But you can code in them. But it lets you really understand how the CPU works. All right. So, question B. It says, why is it good practice to use self-documenting identifiers in high-level code? Now you're probably thinking, what's a self-documenting identifier? It's not as hard as it sounds. All it means is, if you think about programming, it means, why would you make variables that explain them? Which might sound a bit weird, but if you make a variable and you call it X or variable 1 or hello, how do you know what it's used for? But if you call it first underscore name or player 1 underscore points, you understand what that variable's for, right? So you've got a bunch of different answers you can put in this one. Now I'll go straight from the mark scheme for this one. You've got ease of use. So like I said, so you can say ease of use. Now it just means that you can understand it better. so you can understand the code better. You've got maintainability, okay? Now this is where I spell it wrong. So what maintainability means is that when you come back to the code in future, ooh, what a mistake in spelling there. So when you come back to the code in future, you can make changes because you know what each of the variables actually does. Sorry, I just got a message. Ugh, bear with me. So the next one is maintenance. So obviously for this mark, you get it's 1 mark for naming it and understanding it. I'm just going to put all the different ones, okay? So you've also got maintenance. Maintenance. It's definitely spelled wrong. But it means that when you debug your errors, it's going to be easy, okay? So it's easier to debug errors if it's clear what the variable contains. And then documentation. Save in assembly language, really. It's store, it's S-T-A, so store, so stat, right? So you won't need to write as many comments. So if your variable's called, you know, total running score, you don't have to put some comments in your code saying this keeps the current score, because you've already got it in your variable, okay? So ease of use, maintainability, maintenance, and documentation, and that's them there, okay? So that's that question. So that's another 2 marks. So we're smashing it at the minute, really easy, and we're only what? We're not even half an hour in, and we've already got nearly half the marks. No, we haven't. We've got it. No, we haven't at all, but we've got a quarter marks done, all right? So this one, I'm going to use Notepad to help me with this one. So I'm going to split my screen up again, but I'm going to make this one slightly bigger so you can read it, right? So you always get an algorithm question. In this one, you've got this program here. Now what it's not asking you to do is tell what the program does. It says give all the outputs of the algorithm. It also doesn't mean tell me all the lines that say output. What it's asking you is if you run this program, if it's a real program and you run it, what would it do? What's the outputs actually going to say? All right, so you start off and you'll look, and quite clearly we've got a bit of sequence in here. So we've got, it says sets a counter to 0, and it says begin a loop. It then repeats until counter is 3. So we know we've got a loop in there, all right? So for this one, I'm just gonna get the font a bit bigger so you can read it there. Hope that's big enough. So the first things first, it's gonna output beginning a loop, okay? We also can tell that when the loop's finished, because you see it's indented there, it says loop completed. So if you want 2 easy marks, put the top and bottom one in, if it fits. You can't just guarantee that it's going to be like this, but you know, if it's got an indentation there and it says repeat, that's the looped code there, or that's getting repeated, so it's only going to say that once and that once. So we've got 2 marks here. Now, what you want to do is take a little look at what the program is actually doing in here. So what it does is it adds 1 to the counter and outputs what the counter currently is. It then makes a new variable, or adds to a variable called multi, and times itself by counter, and then says what multi is. So what you look at is, we know the first iteration, if you want to write this down, you can do it on your document or whatever, it doesn't matter, write it on your exam paper, I don't care. And it says counter is counter, so we know it's going to say capital C, counter is then colon 1. Now you do want to be specific, you do want to put in speech marks, not exclamation marks, and you do want to put, if it's got a space after the colon or anything like that, you want to put that in, okay? So really it should be that, okay? it's then going to get to multi, which multi is obviously 1 times whatever multi is. Multi at the start of the program is 1. So it's saying 1 times 1. So also multi is going to be 1. Oop, press slash it says shift then. So we've got multi is, and then we've got 1, right? Let me just put that there. There we go. So we've got multi is 1, counter is 1. So now, at this point, counter is 1. It's not 3. We know it's 1 because it says it there. So it's going to loop again. So now counter's 2. So we know it's going to say counter is 2. Now you do want to put this in order. It's really important you put this in order because you're not explaining the outputs correctly if you just put them all in a random order. So counter's 2. So now multi is still 1 because 1 times 1 was 1. So now it's going to do 1 times 2, which is 2. So multi will be 2. So multi is 2. Until counter's 3, so it's going to get there again, and counter's going to be 3 now. So again, we can copy that, and counter's going to be 3. And this is where most people got this wrong last time, is you get to multi, and multi was last time it was 2, you times it by 3, so it's 6. So multi is 6. Now, the example paper they gave out, it actually did say 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, how it works. This one, obviously it's got 2 times 3, so it's going to be 6, okay? So there you go, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 marks already. So you're going to copy that. You're going to go into here, you're going to go to number 4, and you're just going to paste that in there. There we go, next question done. So now if we just tally up what we've got so far now, we've got 13, we've got 16, 17, 18, 26 marks now. So we've got 26 marks and we're 20 minutes in. Right, so we're absolutely smashing it at the minute. On last year's boundaries, I mean 26 marks was pretty much a 4. Probably won't be that easy this year, but either way, we're doing pretty good, right? So we need to get to question 5. Now what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to click that so we don't have the numbers on there. Right, so this next one, I don't really need to have the exam question open because you get given it on this one. And it says you've got to complete lines 11, 16, 20 and 22 with the 4 lines of code from the exam paper. Oh, I do need it, unfortunately. So the lines of code are here. So what I'd probably do if I was you, if it lets you, is just copy them and just paste them at the bottom there so you've got them, all right? If you really, don't like the look of that, I'll quickly put them onto new lines. But obviously don't do this in the exam, just don't waste your time, unless you particularly need to do this. So I just want you to read through the program and put in what makes sense. So line 11 is the first one. So you've got over large screen is integer, required size is integer, current screen size is integer, number to test is integer, count is integer, set count is 0, set number to test to 0, set over large screen, set required size, set current and set current screen size to 0. Now the first thing it says is input number to test. So if it's the line above an input, what do we think it could have set? So we look down, we've got else is true, next count, end subroutine, input flag, if current size, blah blah blah. Output, please enter the number of screens to test. Well, if you are inputting the number to test, surely you want to output so you tell them what to actually type in. So you copy that and paste it in like that. So next look at number 16. So we're in a loop now. So we've got for count equals 1 to number to test. Output, please enter the size of the screen. Oh, enter the size of screen and it'll be 1 to how many? Input current screen size. It then says, output, discard this screen as it is too large. So clearly it's checked something. So look at the code. And it says, if current screen size is less than the required size, then if current screen size is greater than the required size. But if it's saying something is too big, too large, it's going to be the greater than. So we take that and we put that in there. That looks gross. There you go, that's better. Then we get to line 20. Now this one, what you should be able to tell, but it's a bit difficult to see actually on this one, but this is a loop, so all this stuff should be slightly indented, and it is. You see the little space there. This line isn't as much. You see I can't click there, that one's unindented. If I type in hello there, you see it's not indented. Those are indented, that's not, okay? So that means it's the end of the loop. Now, for the loop to carry on looping, this count needs to go up. So that one's easy. You just put next count. And then, if you notice at the top, it doesn't have anything to do with subroutines, which is a bit annoying really. It's a bit daft. Because what it wants you to put at the end is end subroutine, because it's the end of a subroutine. But as far as I'm aware, it doesn't actually say the it should really say sub screen test or whatever it's called, but it doesn't just say end subroutine. But at the very end of the program, just looking for an end, okay? So end subroutine, paste it in there, done. Okay? So there we go, we've got another bunch of marks there, can't remember how many. So we've got another 4 marks just from filling in the gaps. Now even if you didn't have a clue, like you couldn't even think of what these ones were, that one and that one were fairly easy to get. Okay? So far we're on 30 marks. We're halfway through and we've got 30 marks. That's really good. Since we've still got technically an hour and a half till the exam finishes. Now, I'm going to stop here for a second. If anyone's got any questions about what I've spoken about at the minute, please bang them in the chat now. Yeah, so I'll just have a pause for like half a minute if you've got any questions whilst we've got to the halfway point. Alright, no questions, sweet. Moving on then. So question 6. So it says, an algorithm. So this point, I'd say out of the entire thing, if I'm honest with you, these are the hardest ones. This is the hardest question, creating an algorithm. Because especially if you're not really that into your programming, you don't really like it that much, it is quite difficult for you to make a program on the fly. So it says, an algorithm is required to record a series of whole numbers between 1 and 65535. The algorithm should accept an input of each number, stop accepting numbers when a rogue value is entered, a number larger than 65535, output the total of all numbers entered, output the mean of all numbers entered, output the largest number entered, and output the smallest number entered, okay? Now, you should do, really, of all your variables set up and all that jazz. And well, honestly, if you can't think and you just don't have a clue, or you can only think in Python or anything, just write it in whatever you can. A program is a program at the end of the day. It's an algorithm. It's there for somebody else to be able to use if it means that for whatever reason, you know, they can't understand it. It's down to your logic. It's not down to how you write it. It should be down to the program you've written to make sense rather than it being the language you've written it in. So first things first, we need to think about your variables. What variables do you actually need for this program? Well, it says on the left, we need to have smallest, so we can just put smallest is int, largest is int, mean is int, total is int. And for now, that'll do. That's my variables. Now, it does say 3 numbers in this. It doesn't want you to just do 3 numbers. What it wants you to do is do a loop that does as many numbers as possible until they type in a number that is greater than 65535, okay? So for doing that, if you don't know how many times a program needs to loop for, you want to use a while loop. If you do know how many times you want it to loop for, or it's going through a list, use a for loop. So this one, I'm going to make another variable here. I'm going to call it now these are terrible variable names, but for my explanation it makes me feel better. And now what I usually do is set all these variables to 0 before you start. So smallest, largest equals 0, mean equals 0, total equals 0, and number inputted equals 0. Now, you want your while loop, so you got while number inputted is less than 65535. Sorry, it's answering the chat then. So while number inputted is less than, well, I'll put greater than, silly me. Well, it's less than 65535. Repeat. And now I'm going to indent my code from now on. Now I need to input a number, so I can say enter a number. Oh, can't spell again. So as the night progresses, this spelling's going to get worse, I promise you. So we've got enter a number, and then input number inputted. Okay, so that's going to get my numbers in there. Now, this is where you want to start doing your checks for like your large and your small numbers, all right? So, if statements is where you check some numbers. So we can say if the number that's just been inputted, so number inputted, is greater than the largest, then obviously largest needs to be reassigned to the number you just inputted, so number inputted. Now you need to put endif to show that it's in the if statement, because it's not like Python where it just knows. Then if the number inputted is less than the smallest, let's have a look. So just reading what Bailey says. So Bailey said, if you're not reading the chat, is it shouldn't be 65536, so it includes that number but nothing higher. Yeah, it does say a number larger than. So the reason I'm going off that is it says a number larger than 65535. So you could always as well just do less than or equal to. I mean, to be fair, I'm just looking at the mark scheme now, and it does just say the No, it's moving stupid. No, it's moving daft. I was right the first time. What's number inputted? See, I've confused myself now. It's always embarrassing when you're doing a live stream in front of people. Is that I'm just reading. Oh no, it's me. No, I was right. No, you was right, Billy. No, what I was reading is I just checked the mark scheme, and they've done what's called a do while loop, where it does the code, and you say until. So they've put loop until the number is greater than 65535, whereas I've done whilst the number you've typed in is less than that. Keep looping, so it's me being stupid. Yeah, I am a daft sausage, aren't I? Right, so I'll still make mistakes as well, and that's what the whole point of this is. So it's number inputted is less than the smallest, then smallest equals number inputted. So I'll cut that part out of the video when it's re-recording, make it look less stupid. Why? And then you also need to know how many times this program's looped, because you've got to work out the average. So again, on the fly, I go right. Loop counter is in, and then I can just do bring that in there, and then I'll just do. So now it's going to loop around once, twice, and it'll keep counting that then. So I've got that done, and then I actually need to work out total. So that's just going to be total equals total plus number inputted. So that's going to work all that out. And then at the end of the program, what you've got to do is just work out the average and output the final value. So you should be able to work out the average. You just divide it by how many times you've looped. So it'll be mean equals total divided by, what do I call it, loop counter. I've already worked out the smallest and all that, so now you need to output the values. So output total plus total output average plus mean output smallest plus smallest, and then output largest plus largest. Now that'd get me full marks, okay? Even though, if I'm honest with you, that's probably not 100% right, because if you think about the actual algorithm itself, if I don't put a number in smallest, it'll say the smallest number is still 0, even if nobody enters 0. So it's technically flawed. So really, you want to be setting the first time the program loops, the first input you set that to smallest, something like that. But in terms of this exam and for the mark scheme, this is correct, all right? So that would get you the full 9 marks there. So on 39. So I'll leave that on the screen for a second, just so you can actually understand what I've done there. So I've declared my variables. You don't have to do that. I'd like you to. In fact, actually, last year, it said in the mock it said you didn't have to, but I've just looked on the mark scheme now, and it says award 1 mark for each bullet. Declare and initialize variables. So this is declaration, this is initializing. So this section here got you 1 mark, right? Your next point is input a value into a variable. So there we go, that's that 1 mark done. Repeat a concept of loop which ends on a rogue value. That's that, so the mark there. Selection using an if statement, got 1 there. Keeping track of your numbers, such as max, min, total, and how many times you've looped, so we've got all them there. Output a variable. And then it says the solution provides all correct numerical outputs. Now, the only thing that's wrong with my program is that technically what would happen is, I've just noticed that now, is that if I use this, did this loop and this program, it would, say if I put in 1 million, it would add that to the final total and wouldn't work, okay? So it would have actually added some stupid value. So I mean, what I probably have to do there is some sort of check. So if number inputted, can't type, was greater than 65535, then total equals total, take away number input. So all that does there is it just, if you've typed in something stupid at the end, it just remove it from the total so it doesn't wreck your data. Does that make sense, everyone? So I've added that bit in there just to make sure your values aren't stupid. Right, next question then. Oh yeah, good idea too as well. Finished your algorithm. Best pop it in your answer sheet. So paste that in there like that. Then we've got question 7. So now it says, part of an algorithm intended to check the username and password entered by a user is shown below. The algorithm has 2 main shortcomings. Now what shortcomings means is 2 things that is rubbish with it, right? 2 things wrong. So it says declare login screen, username is string, password is string. Now, one thing to think about before I even start this question is if they ask you to create an algorithm and then they've got an example of an algorithm below and you're not sure how to set it out or you're not sure how to write it, you've got a massive hint because they've done their pseudocode. So if you forget to initialize your variables and declare them, well, they've got that there for you. So they've already done the work for you, just change your names, all right? So counter is integer, logged in is boolean, set logged in to false, set counter equals 0. Now we've got another loop, so it says do, output type in username, input username, output type in password, input password. If username equals user1 or password equals pass1, then output correct, set logged in to true, else output username and password error, counter equals counter plus 1, end if, loop, and end subroutine. So first things first, let's have a think about the actual what's wrong with this program. Anyone in the chat see what's the first thing that's wrong with the program? What's the first mistake the programmer's done? Anyone want to type something in there? So what you think? Anyone listening? So what's wrong with the program? Can anyone say straight off the bat what the mistake is or one of the problems? There's two major problems. What do we think? Anyone know? Count as meant to be an integer. It's a number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What's wrong with that, Billy? That sounds fine to me. Alright, let's look at line 13 then. So it says, if the username is equal to user1 or the password is equal to pass1, then output correct. What's wrong with that line? So, if the username is user1 or password is pass1, what's wrong? Needs to be an and. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. So, if the username is user1 and the password's pass1 is correct. That means that, say if the password was put in correctly, so I've put in user3, but I've typed in pass1, I'm in. Okay. So the first shortcoming is that it needs to be an and, not an or. So into your document, the first shortcoming is that line 13 should be an and, not an or, because at the minute either user1, is it user1 for the username? Let's double check. Yeah, user1 or pass1 will allow you to gain access to the program. Now this one does expect you to explain it a little bit, okay? So I do think it's more than 2 marks? How many marks is it? Okay, so it's explain the two main shortcomings and explain how these can be rectified. So you get a mark for saying it should be, I'm going to put it in bold, and a not an or. So I suppose to make sure you actually get the mark, maybe just put, for example, and then correct the code. Now, as daft as it seems, just to make sure you get the mark, you explain them. So we explained them. Keep pressing that button, don't I? Mick. Shut up. And then grab that, copy it, paste it in there, and just change that to and, okay? First 3 marks done. Now, does anybody... Well, you've said just so you could log in without a password, easier explanation. Not really, because you can log in without a password and log in without a username. So, really, I've explained what it should be, because you can get because either user1 or pass1 as an answer will allow you to get access. You can say that, but I reckon you only get 1 mark, right? You've got to say why. So I've said why, I've said the problem, and I've explained the code as example as well. Not being funny, not being finicky, but you want to make sure that you are putting the code in there as well. You're not wrong, but let's be accurate, right? Does anyone know what the second shortcoming is? Can anyone tell me? Anyone know? So we've got the line 13. What's the other problem? No, you weren't wrong though. I won't being horrible. I'm just telling you that how you could get a better answer. Well, I'm going to tell you the answer this way anyway. So your problem is that you've got this counter equals counter plus 1, and you've got this set counter equals 0. So I'd presume that there's meant to be some sort of lockout. This program will loop forever. Okay? If you think about it, it's got a boolean that it sets to true. So really, shouldn't this loop be do until logged in is true, or until attempts is greater than 3 or something? But it doesn't. This has got an infinite looping. Okay. So the next problem, if we get the right thing open, second shortcoming is that there is an infinite loop. This means that you get unlimited attempts and you can't actually access the program. Okay? To fix it, I'll put fi. To fix it, you can do a couple of things. Now, the easiest one is changing the loop. So, change the loop. So instead of it being just do or whatever, you can say change to do the loop whilst logged in is false. Okay, so you can change the loop. So do while logged in, whatever it is, equals false. So it's going to keep looping whilst they've been incorrect. Or you could do maybe like do loop until counter is equal to 3 or something, okay? So that's 2 ways of fixing it. So that'd be a 6-mark answer by explaining how you change the if statement and how you would change the loop in that question. So I'll put the question back up. Does everyone understand where I got that answer? I mean, you've got a few more things you could say as well. You could talk about how this is bad practice. You shouldn't really put your username and password, you shouldn't hard code it, because if you update your password, you've got to update the program. That's bad practice. But if I'm honest with you, you know, the other 2 answers are the better ones, okay? But that's one thing that was unexpected in the mark scheme, but accepted, right? Right. Last question, one everyone cries about. Greenfoot. So it says, open the Greenfoot world, wget drop 8, and familiarise yourself with its contents. Complete the world as instructed below. Now I'm just going to quickly just check I haven't already had a go at this one because I was checking it worked earlier on. I don't want to give all the answers away straight away. So I'll just open up Greenfoot whilst I'm waiting. And I'll just very quickly put it back to the beginning, alright? So it says you've got to populate the world with an umbrella, a sun, and 2 instances. I can't pronounce that. Instances of the water drop. And then it says edit the water drop and sun objects so they turn and move at random. There we go. Excuse me. It then says edit the umbrella object so it moves at an appropriate speed in the direction of the arrow keys. Edit the umbrella so that it catches the water drop. Add a sound. Add a counter. Make the counter lose a point and save your world as final drop 8. Now I do apologise that how zoomed out all the writing is. It also behaves a little bit different on my PC. I don't know if this is the version I've got. I'm pretty sure I've got the right version, but let's just double check. Yep, it's the right version, but I think it's just because I'm using a 12-inch laptop. It's a 2-in-1, and I think because it's so small and I've got this this is a secondary display, I think that's what's causing me the problems. So first things first, open up your work. So I've got wget drop 8, it'll close and it'll reopen, okay? There it is. Now, for some reason, I can't tell you why, on my computer, if I press compile, it doesn't like it. So what I have to do is I have to go into here, into a bit of code, and press compile. It gives me this message, and the background appears. This will happen to you. You can just press compile on the bottom right. For some reason, man does not let me. Now, it also won't let me zoom in anymore, so I apologise in advance. I am going to use the magnifier. The code will be big, that's what matters. So first things first, what you want to do is get those first 4 marks. Now, they're pretty easy. If you go back to the mark scheme, you get a mark for saving it as final drop 8. Someone just asked, will there be algorithm questions? Well, I've just gone through 3 of them. So, yes, there will. So yeah, so first things first, let's scenario, save as, I'm going to call it final drop 8. So it's final drop 8. Okay, now it'll close and it'll reopen. It's called final drop 8. It's already got that mark. Well, that's what you get, Jacob, being late, mate. I'm going to whip back through them, but I'll try and get the video on YouTube as soon as possible so you can go back over it. But yeah, we're on the last question now, mate. So yeah, so I'll have to do my silly way of compiling. Give me a second. And there we go. So I've already got 1 mark for saving it as a final drop 8. So what you want to do is read how many things it wants to give you. So 1 umbrella, 1 sun, and 2 water drops. So right click, new umbrella, 1 umbrella, new sun, water drop, and water drop, okay? Now, what you do now is right click, save the world. Now what that does is it means that when you press reset, it keeps them in the right place, okay? So if I just take a look at the marks here, we've got 1 mark there, 2, 3, 4 marks. So we've got 4 out of 15, and we've done nothing, no code, okay? Now, we need to edit the water drop and sun objects so they turn and move at random. So we'll start with the sun. Get that on there. Now, see, I told you I made the writing bigger so you can actually see the code. So everything you want to do, ignore this. Just a constructor class, ignore it. You're always doing everything in here, right? Now, easiest one is to make it move. Now, if you can't remember in the exam, you should all know, I've said it a million times, I don't know how to move, what do I do? Hold control, press space. Now what that will do is that'll bring up the IntelliSense, have a look down, until you find the word move. Move, 1, semicolon. That'll move. Now, the hard part is setting the rotation correctly. So again, you go, how do I set the rotation? So it's random. Control space. Let's look for the word set rotation. Set rotation. Now it needs an integer. And now if I put 30, it'd always go the same direction. That is not random. So now I do green foot, full stop, control space, get random number between 0 and 360. Add a semicolon, compile. No syntax errors, great. I'm going to copy and paste that into the water drop. Compile it again. Great, thanks for that. And run, and you see they're turning and moving randomly. Now does it look stupid? Yes. Is it a good game? No. Do we care? We shouldn't. So far, mark scheme wise, we've got the 4 from the initial setup. We've got 1 mark for water drops move around the world. We've got 1 mark for sun moves around the world. And 1 mark for using random movement using get random number. So now we've got 7 marks. 7 marks. What are you on about? I shouldn't count G series. I'm on about how bad the game is. Stop trying to undermine my stream, man. But anyway, we've got 7 marks out of 15 already. Now the use for Greenfoot is for simple games development. You can make some decent games. It's also an introduction to Java. Java is good for Android. That's what all the apps are made in. Right, what was I doing now since you all put me off? What's the next thing on the list? Let's have a look. So 7 marks already, and we've done literally A, B, and H. I think that's pretty good going. Edit the umbrella object so it moves at an appropriate speed in the direction of the arrow keys. So let's get the umbrella open. Right. So this one is probably the hardest one. One thing you do get though is you get a mark for doing the move in the same direction, same speed, sorry, as the other assets. So let's go. If statement firstly. So one thing you all mess up on is that you put your brackets in and you forget to close them, or you put a semicolon and if you don't notice a syntax error, or you don't put in curly brackets and it messes up. So if you do an if, do your brackets like that. You also want an opening curly bracket and a closing curly bracket, alright? Now, again, control space, you're looking for is key down. So you go, oh, it's not there. Oh, what do I do? Try it again, but with green foot, then you do control space. So green foot dot, control space, it's key down, it's there. So you should always keep thinking in your head, I can't remember what it is, do control space or green foot dot control space, and you'll probably find what you're looking for. Now this needs to be a string. It's got to be in speech marks or it won't work. Also, if you put a semicolon there, it won't work either. So don't put a semicolon on an if statement. It should be like this. Now if I'm pressing up, I want to set rotation to 270, because in Greenfoot, 270 is up, right? It goes 270, 0, 90, 180, right? So I compile that and check it works. So I probably made a mistake, no doubt. Oh no, I haven't. Run it. If I press up, it goes up, okay? So that's worked. So now I know all I've got to do is, I'm going to neaten it up slightly. Just copy that. So I want up, right, down, and left. That's just so I can follow the numbers properly by adding 90. So that one should be 0. That one should be 90. And that one should be 180. Compile. No syntax errors. Give it a run. Up, down, left, right. Okay. So it's working. We can reset that. So if we go back to the marks then, let's see how many we've got. We've got 3, 6, 7 with the saving it right. Then we get umbrella moves around according to the arrow keys. That's 1 mark. So that's 8. It moves with an appropriate speed, which is equal or greater than the speed of the drops. So that's another mark. Okay. So now we are on 9 marks out of 15, and we've not written much. Even if you got to the point where you was on the 7, I'd take that. I'd like it to get better, but if you can get that, the half marks on the green foot, I'm happy. Right? Next one is pretty easy as well. So in the umbrella code, after all this stuff, we need to do collision. Now, I know you've all learned a different way to me, and I'm sort of been teaching you my way, but honestly, my way is better. So what you do is an if statement again. So if, curly bracket, curly bracket. Now, if you do control space, and put it is, you've got if is touching. If you look at the description, it says, checks whether this actor is touching any other objects. Okay? That's what you want. So if you're touching, water drop. Well, this one doesn't need speech marks. Water drop dot class. You need to do something. What you're going to do is remove touching, water drop dot class. And if you notice as well, it also says on the thingamajig, I don't know why it's zoomed in so much, it says add a sound which will play every time you catch the water drop. Now if you don't know the name of the sound, like the file name, go into your documents, look in final drop 8, look in sounds, you've got pop, okay? Now if I check on here, you'll see it's a WAV file, okay? Now, if you can't check that in the exam, you can open it up. If you open it up in whatever program you use, it should tell you the file type, all right? If you didn't say it in the details pane, I think you can as well. Go view details pane, and it says WAV file. So that's view details pane, and it tells you it's a WAV, okay? So view details pane. So now do greenfoot dot control space, look for play sound, and it's called pop dot wav, semicolon. Now I don't have my desktop sounds on, so you probably aren't going to hear it, provided I've done it alright. And I feel like it's going to deafen you all if I do put it on. So if I run the game, what it has done is play the sound, but my speakers are muted. I don't know if you could hear it then, but I put the desktop audio on, but mine's not actually on. But yeah, so that's wet. So I've got rid of the water drops, and I've also managed to get myself the sound playing. So again, going back to the mark scheme, the only thing I've not got is 1, 2, 3, 4 marks. I'm on 11 out of 15, and I've not written a lot, and I've not even touched the counter. And the counter is what everyone moans at. Now this is the one where the counter is purposely tampered with, so you can just use it like you normally would. All right. So you get 1 mark for adding the counter to the world. So reset everything. Right click on the counter, new counter, put it on the world. Right click, save the world. Now if you wanted to, I should have done that at the start. Future reference, yeah. Right click, new counter, and put that on at the start as well to get that extra mark. Okay, so we're on 12 marks now. Now I've got to edit the counter code. Now in this example, they've messed it all up. They've put this set in the image in the bump count function, and they've got the constructor, but they don't have, if you notice in here, they've got public counter, a function they've made up, and a blank space. You go into like the umbrella, and it's got umbrella, so like the same as the counter one, and it's got an act function. The counter does not. That's the problem. So what you do is you do public void counter, to create an act rather, public void act, not cact, act. Then all you want to do is you want to take that piece of code, cut it, and put it in there. Now what it means is every time this function runs, this procedure rather, it's going to update. This runs like every like half a second or something. It's going to update with this counter here. So now when I run the game, it says 0 there, still says 0, but it's working now. All I've got to do is add it into my actual umbrella class. Now to do that, you can either type it out by memory if you're good, and you can remember things like that, or you can go into the ground, which is the world, and what you're looking for is counter equals new counter. You take that line of code, you copy it, you go into the umbrella again, you paste that just above the act function, and then you take the variable name, not the class name, the variable name, pop that in there, then do full stop, control space, click bump count, and put in a value. Now if I, just give me a second, I've just got to compile it all because man's annoying. And I run it, you'll see, if I get one of these raindrops, it should put my score up. If it was the old version, if it was the one that they give you in the exam, now you've noticed that that 0 hasn't gone up. And that's another problem in this exam they've done to make it harder for you. And that's in the counter class again. Give me a minute, when it pops up. Now, so far everything's right. It looks like the mocks you've done with me. However, they've been cheeky and they've taken off the keyword static. Okay? Now, if something's static, it stays still. In this instance, it means it can be accessed by other classes, such as your umbrella. If I reset that now, just that one little keyword change, just press compile again. That one little keyword having static in, oh, my bad. It's private static in. There we go. That's compiled. And I run that now, and it should go to 1 and then 2. Okay. So I've now got my 2 points from using the counter correctly. All right. So now going through the mark scheme, I've now got every mark except for the last one, which says counter decrements when water drop and sun collide. So you can pretty much steal the code from the umbrella you've just done. So go into your umbrella class, scroll down to where you've got if it's touching water drop dot class, copy it, go into the sun, paste that in there, and now you just need to add in that counter. So counter equals new counter. And what I should do is you want to get rid of that part, and then you can just put in -1. Now what that's going to do is get you the second to last mark. So what I do now is when the water drop and the sun collide, you're going to lose a point. To get the final mark, what you've got to do is create some parameters in that function. So I'm going to put that back to 1. So technically it's going to add a score and go into the counter. Go look in there. I'm just going to add a comma and put string mode. Okay? And then all you do is put an if statement. So if I'm going to explain this after I've typed it, don't worry. Right, so what I've done, so I put if mode is equal to add, total count plus the score, otherwise minus the score, okay? Now, what it's going to do is going to break the other parts of the program in a minute, so you've got to go back into the umbrella and stick that mode part in that I've just done. Which all you got to do is do that and go add, go into the sun, and then do, and honestly, you can put sub or you can put anything else. Compile that. What should happen is I'll just put my semicolon in. I should compile it. Capital S on a string. Looking good again, aren't I? No syntax errors. Run the program. You'll see I've got I've lost 2 points because the sun got to those water drops first. Okay, so if I would have gone and got them, I would have got the points, but I'm -2 because I was too slow because I was too busy looking at the screen. Okay, and that's it. That's 15 out of 15. That's full marks. Okay, so I'm just going to get rid of this now because it lags my computer out. And get rid of that. And get rid of that. Don't need that anymore. I'm going to put this back on. So what I'm going to say is it's 8:15. I'm going to get a drink. If you want to put any questions you've got that you want me to cover, put them in the chat and I'll get to them in a minute. So I'm going to maybe say a 2 or 3 minute break just so I can get a drink and whatnot. Yeah, the Greenfoot games do look rubbish. But it's the idea is to give you an introduction to Java, and Java can make some better games. I'll tell you what was made in Java. Old school RuneScape, made in Java. Good times. No worries, Billy, in a bit. Can you show how you made a raindrop disappear when it collided with the umbrella? Yes, I can. I'm going to get to it in a minute, alright? So I'm going to start just whipping through these revision cards, alright? Now you've all got a copy of these, but I'll whip through them real fast. So first things first, you've got HTML. So to create some paragraphs, you need a p tag. To create headings, it's H1 through to H6. You've got UL is a bulleted list, OL is a numbered list. Center is your text. BR stands for line break. U underline text. Table borders there, so bottom left is how you do a table, okay? Now, if I zoom in here, that bit of code would make a table with just one box, okay? So you do table border equals 1 so you can see it. You do TR, which makes one row, and then TD is like one cell, one square, okay? I for italics, HR for horizontal line, or horizontal rule. Image SRC adds an image. The image needs to be in the same folder as your HTML website, so it's really important you do that. You've got ahref equals http:// whatever your link is with some text. B is bold, and OL creates numbered list, as I've said. Okay, now if you want to look further into HTML because you're struggling or whatever, what you should probably do is if you Google Mr. Drury CS YouTube, what you should see, if I just get you on here, bit of a shameless plug-in, if you go to, I think here is me going through another HTML full question. So, I mean, don't laugh at all my lack of views, but Eduqas HTML full revision right there, that'll go through that, okay? I won't judge you for leaving. I will link the flashcards. I realise that they aren't on that website link from last time. I can put them on there though. Just give me a second. Copy. And just give me 2 seconds, and I'll have them on my website for you. Just give me a second. I should have thought about it before, but I was too worried about this. So just go to research, okay, paste that in there. Like I actually am doing something, I was talking to myself, by the way. I'm not a weirdo. Oh, I am a little bit, but so yeah, just put that on there now. So if you go on to my website, research.co.uk, you've got the revision slides, I think. What have I called it? Bear with me. Called it a stupid name, I think. It says 2018 Component 2 exam. I'll just quickly change that to say C2 flashcards. If I just refresh that. C2 flashcards, that'll download the PowerPoint I'm using, alright? So, yeah. Back to it then. Hey, stop taking the mick out my 28 subs. Can't help that if no one likes me. So, assembly language, you've got your different commands there. These are all the commands that you're ever going to use, alright? So you've got imp, which is take a number and store it in the accumulator. So that's like input in Python. You've got out, which is like output or print, which it gives the number that's stored in the accumulator, which is a register, and gives it to the user. STA takes whatever numbers in the accumulator and puts it in a mailbox. Now a mailbox is a slot of RAM. LDA takes a number from a mailbox and puts it in the accumulator. Add takes a number from a mailbox and adds it to whatever's in the accumulator. BRA changes the program counter, so that's like how you loop. HLT stops the program. DAT creates a variable. And subtracts the number from a mailbox. The number that's in a mailbox from the accumulator. Blooming heck, that was hard to say. Moving on. So Greenfoot. To make an object move with the arrow keys, you've got this code here on the left. You've got objects moving randomly on the right. And then you've got the removing objects and playing a sound at the same time. Okay. Now, that's what somebody asked me earlier on, Mr. Camille, about the raindrop disappearing at the cloud with the umbrella. That's that. So if is touching, iceberg.class. Now, is touching, you can get from the control space. You've got remove touching, again, that's from control space. And you've got greenfoot.play sound, plays the sound. Okay? Obviously, the thing you need to change is iceberg would be raindrop in this case, and sound.mp3 would be pop.wav. Okay. Yeah, so I'm just going to flip to the counter and then flick back, just because the way I printed them, it makes sense to be like this, okay? So if you're going to use the counter, you need to have counter equals new counter above your act function. To use that, in this instance, I've got counter.bump counter 1, and then I put in the mode thing that I showed you earlier on. Using it with collision, you need to put in your is touching part. Then you're editing. So this example here is the one when they give you the act function, so they don't give you the mistake, all right? So this was not last year's, the year before. And you see I've changed the bump counter from that to that. Okay, so from this one in the red to this one, and this one would mean that this one works. If you didn't want to do that, to get that extra mark, you just won't put in the comma add. Okay? Right. No, I need to go back, don't I? So data types, you should know them. But you've got integer is a whole number, real, or in Python it's a float, is a decimal number. A string is a combination of words and numbers. Boolean is true or false. Char is a single letter or symbol. And list is a collection of different data that can be increased or reduced. And an array is a collection of the same data type. And you can't change the size. Right, moving on. So, sorting algorithm. Sorry, I was reading the chat then, that was actually quite funny. Bit harsh, but still funny. Bubble sort is where you swap with each number in pairs until the numbers are sorted. And then merge sort splits numbers into single numbers, then puts them into groups, sorting them. So I'm going to attempt to try and explain this using my pen and that again. But again, if you go onto my YouTube channel, I've got a video and an animation of how both these algorithms work, okay? So this is where it messes up. So let's do a little switcheroo. Then if I go to No, pressing the wrong button every time. Get off that. There we go, that's the right button. There we go. So say if we have this, I'm going to do the same numbers as what's on there. So I've got, oh, this is going to look terrible. This is going to look awful, but I'm going to do it regardless. Now, bear with me here. So what I'm going to try and do is actually use it like a tablet, which is probably going to go wrong. But I'm going to try. Okay. So we've got 6, 3, 1, 7, 2, 3, 8, okay? So how it works is, if a number on the left is bigger than one on the right, it swaps them. So this 6 is going to keep going until it finds a number it is not bigger than. So 6 is going to swap with 3, the 6 is going to swap with the 1, and it's going to stop at the 7. So it's going to go 3, 1, 6. Now the 7 is going to say, right, we're going to the 7 now. And the 7 is going to swap with everything until it gets to the 8. So it's going to go 2, 3, 7, 8. And that is the first pass, okay? Then it's going to go back to the start. Okay, so start again here. And it's going to go, right, 3 is bigger than 1, so 3 is going to swap, so it's going to go 1, 3. 3 is not bigger than 6, so it's going to ignore it and move on to the next one. So 6 is bigger than 2, so it's going to swap. And then 6 is also bigger than 3, so it's going to go 3, 6, 7, and 8, because 7 is not bigger than 8. So I'm going to go back to the beginning again, so that was pass number 2. So we're going to go 1 is not bigger than 3, so it's going to not do anything. 3 is bigger than 2, so it's going to go 1, 2, 3. Now 3 is not bigger than 3, so it's going to go on to the next one. 3 is not bigger than 6, and none of them are bigger. Okay, so that's the third pass. Now what it's going to do now, it's going to go back to the start, and it's going to say, right, nope, no swap, no swap, no swap, no swap, no swap, no swap. Then if no swap, the program ends, okay? So it does a final check, and if it doesn't do a swap, then it knows it's finished. If it does do a swap, it knows it's not finished, okay? So that is, that's your bubble sort, okay? So, I'm going to quickly switch back. And then I'm just going to take a look. Right, did everyone understand that? Was that alright? It's only because I can't see the chat, so if you wrote anything, that's why I have to switch back, alright? So do we all understand that? So if a number on the left is bigger than a number on the right, it's going to switch until it gets to the end. Are we all happy with that? I'm going to presume yes. So then I'm going to go on to the harder one, which is merge sort, okay? So this one, we've got 6. I might run out of room actually, to be fair. 1, 7, 2, 3, and 8, okay? Now, the first mark in the exam is when you talk about the splitting. So what you do is you split it in roughly half, okay? So I'm going to split it there. So I've got 6, 3, 1, 7. So 6, 3, 1, 7, 2, 3, 8. So imagine these are separate lists. I'll put square brackets on, so you know that these are separate lists. You then split it again. So I'm going to basically keep dividing it by 2. So now I've got 6 and 3, 1 and 7. I've then got 2 and 3, and then 8 on its own, right? And I'm going to split it again until they're all on their own. So I've got a list that's got 6 in, one that's got 3 in, one that's got 1, one that's got 7, one that's got 2, one that's got 3, one that's got 8. So it's a divide and conquer algorithm, so it's split into single ones. Now what you do is you repair them back into lists of 2, then 4, then the full list. But what you do is you swap them by comparing 2 numbers at a time. So we look here and we go, right, 6 and 3. 6 is bigger than 3, so you need to swap. So we re-merge them, but it'll be 3, 6. Now we do the same here. 1 is smaller than 7, so I don't need to change. So 1, 7. I'll put them in the square brackets again. Then 2 and 3 are fine. And then 8 is on its own. It then repairs these into a 4 by looking at the first digit. So it looks at this one, and it looks at this one, right? So it goes, right, 3 is greater than 1. So we put 1 first, okay? Then we get rid of that. It then compares 3 with 7. And goes, right, well 3 is smaller than 7, so 3 goes there. Gets rid of that. It then looks at 6 and 7, so we go 6 and 7. And that's that list done. Now it looks at 2 and 8, puts a 2, gets rid of that. Looks at 3 and 8, puts a 3, gets rid of that, and then it's just got 8 left, so 8 goes there. So now I've got 2 lists. Now the final merge is you're looking at the first of each one. So it goes 1 and 2, which is smaller, 1, so I'll put 1 down, get rid of it. 3 and 2, so 2 goes there, get rid of 2. 3 and 3, they're the same, so I'll just put 3 there, gets rid of that one. 6 and 3, puts 3 down, gets rid of that. 6 and 8, puts down 6, gets rid of that. 7 and 8, puts 7, gets rid of that. One last thing, so it puts 8 there, okay? So that is merged, those numbers, in the correct order by splitting them down into single digits and then repairing them by putting them in order, okay? And that's your final merge there, okay? Are we happy with that? I'm hoping that was nice and clear. Sweet. Right, let's move on. Right, so I've got some more keywords for you. Programming. So you've got a variable, which is a named value that can change, or a piece of memory that can change. Constant is a named value that cannot change. Now, don't ever say in the exam, if it says, right, what is a constant? Don't say it's a variable that can't change, because that's incorrect. If it's a variable, it can change. So you'd be saying it's a variable which is something that can change, that can't change, which doesn't make sense, it's contradiction. So it's a named value or a piece of memory that cannot change while the program's running. A local variable is a variable created in a subroutine or a function that can't be accessed outside of it. So it's a local variable, it's only in its own little area. A global variable is a variable that is created and can be accessed from anywhere in the program. A static variable that remains the same location in memory while the program is running. And we've got some techniques there. We've got if statement, which is where you select a different area of code based on a condition. A loop is when you want to repeat code. Sequence is the order of your program. A procedure is a set of coded instructions that doesn't return a value. And a function is the same as a procedure, except for it does return a value. Now we're going back to some algorithms, okay? I hope Perrin's still here, because he's been asked about algorithms the whole time. And these are quite easy as well. Okay, so we've got linear and binary search. I'll switch across again. Get me pen out, get me money's worth. And yeah, so I'll quickly go to that. Get my sketchpad back up. Now, linear search is really easy. Okay, so I'm going to change the colour because that red's annoying me. So we've got 6, 3, 1, 7, 2, 3, 8, okay? Now the number I'm looking for is the number 2, okay? That is my target. So what it does, it's going to look at the first number in the list and say, is this number equal to 2? So is 6 equals to 2? No, it's not. So it moves on. Right. Is 3 equal to 2? No. Is 1 equal to 2? No. Is 7? No. Is 2 equal to 2? Yep. And it stops and it's found the number, yeah? So it returned true. Obviously, if it wasn't a 2 there, it'd carry on looking and it wouldn't find it, okay? So linear search is where you look at everything. Yeah, it's the same as doing like, you know, 4i in list or something. It's going to iterate through something until it finds it. Binary search is a little bit different. I wonder if it's a bit better using this pen. Yeah, it's miles better. Why don't you use that the first time? So let's imagine I've got... Now, with binary search, before I start it, the numbers have to be in order. So what you can't do is, the first linear search was on an unordered list. Now, the good thing about linear search is that it's really easy to do, it's really easy to code. You could code a linear search by literally just doing, you know, for I in range 10, iterate through a list and you have like if I equals, you know, equals target or whatever, then you know, found equals true. Really easy bit of code to do, right? Binary search is a pain to program, so I ain't doing that. But but this one, it has to be an ordered list, okay? So we've got 1, 4, 7, 9, 10, and 20. Now, the target, I'm gonna put T, the target is the number 10, okay? That's what I'm looking for. So what you do is, I'm gonna put this in a different color, if I can. I'm gonna label these with their numbers, okay? With their positions in the list. So we've got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, okay? So that's those positions in the list. Now what you do is do 5 divided by 2, okay? So 5 divided by 2 is 2.5. Now you can't have half of a list indices, or a list index. So what you've got to do is get rid of the 0.5, so it's 2, right? So the first midpoint in this program is the second thing in the list, or in this case, it's the third because we start at 0, okay? So what you do is you look at this number, which is 7, and you say, is 7 greater than or less than or less than 10, okay? Less than the target. Now, 7 is less than the target, okay? So what we know is that the number isn't going to go that way. So what we can do is we just ignore the rest of the numbers, so we can go, right, get rid of that. So we get rid of the midpoint and all the ones before it. And every time we've got a new list, so 0, 1, 2. Half of 2 is 1, so 10 is the midpoint. And then we say, right, is 10 less than 10? No. Is 10 greater than 10? No. Is it equal to 10? Yep. So we've found the target, okay? So we've found. Now if the number was 9, or 20 was looking for, well obviously we would have got rid of the numbers on the left again. So what you do is basically, if the number is less than the target, you take that midpoint and all the numbers before it and get rid of them. If it's greater, you take the midpoint and numbers after it and get rid of them. And again, it's a divide and conquer algorithm, okay? So that's binary search. Obviously binary meaning 2, because you can go to 2 different parts, okay? Oh, still on 8 viewers. I thought I'd dropped off then because I was being boring. And then the last thing we'll talk about is your pseudocode, okay? Now, oh, 1 second, my mic will be on the echo mode. 1 sec. There we go. Now, this next part is for when you're writing algorithms. So you might be shown a flowchart where you've got the start and stop, which is a little circular-y edged rectangle. You've got your little diamond shape, which is your decision box. That's for your if statements and your questions. Input and output, same box. So input, age, output, what is your age, something like that. An operation like counter equals counter plus 1 is going to be in a rectangle. The connector is where you connect 2 parts of a flowchart. The store / subroutine call, use that if you're storing something somewhere or you're saying like call login, and then the arrow indicates rather which way you're going. You've then got pseudocode, which obviously I've gone through some pseudocode, I've gone through 2 pieces. but you've got declaring subroutines, you say declare, then the name of it. To stop it, you write end subroutine. To call a subroutine, you write the word call and the name of the subroutine. To use an array or a list, if you're more Python based, you put the name of the variable in some square brackets. Output, you literally write output. You're allowed to get away with putting print if you want to. Please enter a number. To declare or define a variable data type, you write the name of the variable is integer. To your data types, well, we know them anyway, we've just done them. For assignment, so that's putting something in a variable, you've got set variable name equals 0. Your selection is if, else, and end if. If you're doing a repeat, it says you should indent at least one space. Annotation, that's just if you like comments kind of thing. Annotation, you might put this bit of code does this. And then it's saying comments for Java only, but that's just saying that you can do slashes in. That's how you do comments in the actual programming language. And then at the bottom there, you've got your different types of loops. And I think that's it in terms of my little PowerPoint, okay? So I'm just gonna very quickly just put my tablet back into laptop mode so I can type again. I'm sure I'll need to in a bit. There we go. Now, real question is now, I'm done. So what would you like me to do next? Is there anything you want me to go over again? We've got plenty of time. It's only 10 to 9. I'm happy to stop at 9 o'clock. Or even now if you want me to go over something else. Up to you. But obviously you need to say something, otherwise I'm going to sign myself off and go do something else. You've said algorithms, but what about algorithms? I mean, I can't just go through every single algorithm that's going to happen. You're either going to get a fill in the gaps, like in the paper. So you're only going to get tell me what the outputs are, possibly. You might get fill in the gaps, or you might have to make your own algorithm. Now, assembly language, one good way to practice assembly language is if you go Peter Higgins LMC. Ooh. Is it Peter Higgins? I'm sure it's Peter Higgins. Is it Higgins' son? There we go. Peter Higgins' son, I apologise. Now this here is an assembly language emulator. Okay. Now, to practice what some of these commands do, it's quite useful. Can I zoom in a bit more? Yeah. Right, so if I want to do input number, I can put in imp, right? Submit it, it converts that to actually assembly, and I can run that. And you see this is your CPU, your program counter, your registers, so there's a data stores, and your accumulator. And you see how it converts into opcodes and operands to say I've got input number. So input number, I put in 53. It puts it in the accumulator. It then goes into the next instruction, which is a 0. A 0 is the same as a HLT. And what it does, that'll stop the program and it'll say stopped in a minute. Program halted, HLT. Now, if I wanted to store some of that, I could do STA99, which will be this slot here. Input a second number, store that in slot 98. Then I might add that to whatever's in 99 and output the answer. Okay, then I'll put in HLT for good measure. So put that in there, run the program, I'm going to put the speed up. So what this is going to do is it's going to make me input a number, so I'm going to put in 10. So you're going to take that number, and you see it stored it in slot 99, so it said 99 up there. And then I'm going to put in 67. It's now put 67 in 98. It's then added 67 plus 10, which is 77. Ooh. And then because I've put in an out command, it's put that in the output tray, and it's then stopped. That's assembly language. It's basically a simple language that the CPU understands, kind of thing. Now, you don't have to be able to write a program, but you need to understand what these different commands do, which is why I've got this slide here. I don't know if you want to screenshot that. If you understand these definitions, you'll be fine for any questions. I don't think they're going to ask you to write a program, but what they might do is give you a program and say, now then, can you tell what this program does? Which again, as long as you know the definitions of these different commands, you should be fine. So even if it says imp star variable, and it says a word after it, it just means it stores it in a mailbox or a bit of RAM called that. That there makes a variable. So what they might do is give you an example where instead of saying staff 99, it says staff number 1. Okay, that's perfectly valid, but they probably won't show you this part where you put. Is it gonna let me take that? Number 1. Now, you see, what it'll do is it'll store it in the 8th slot. So if I run the program and I put in 1,000, it's told me off. Let's go 100 then. You'll see that it stored that 100 in the, sorry, not the 8th slot, sorry, the 7th slot, because it's the 7th command, it stores the variable in the 7th slot, alright? And obviously I can carry on as normal, doing whatever. Still does the same thing, but they might actually put a word in there, and all it means is it's calling one of these numbers a name instead. But as long as you understand what these mean, you're alright, you're good, okay? Anything else? Anybody else before I get rid of this then? Guessing not then. Alright then, so thank you all for watching. I hope it helps. Obviously, good luck tomorrow if you're actually sitting the exam. Obviously, my class, I'll see you period 3 till about 20 past 12. About 10 past 12, we're going to go and log into your computer, so we've got that ready for the exam to start. When you come back, you need to be back outside my classroom at about 10 to 1, 5 to 1, probably 10 to. And make sure you're on time, because you don't want to be late for that exam. Obviously, if you're not got your exam tomorrow and you just watch this because your teachers told you to, or you're watching it from a different school than mine, there probably won't be that many more videos in terms of streams, but I am going to try and put more videos up because I'm actually leaving my job and I'm moving to teaching to an international school. So what I'll do is I'll put videos up there for my year 10s, so obviously by all means, if you subscribe to my YouTube channel, you can use them. What's what? You've put in what's in the chat, by all means. I'll stop and I'll wait for your answer, as long as you give me a question. I do not have another stream for RuneScape, no. Because 1, I'm terrible at it, 2, it's not even that good of a game, and 3, no. Well, if that's it then, I'm going to call it a day then, guys. Good luck. I'll try to get some more videos in future. I'll try and put this stream on YouTube tonight if I have a chance, but I'm not sure I'm going to get a chance. But thank you all for watching. By all means, if you want to go on my YouTube channel, look at my previous videos. Like I said, just if you search for Mr. Drury CS YouTube, go onto there. And then, like I said, not very many subscribers, but there's plenty of videos for you to look at, alright? There you go, Drury out.